In Islam, people think that you cannot study Islam contextually and adapt it to the present situation. But with Gulen's philosophy, you come to realize that with Islam, you can actually transform the world and make the world a peaceful heaven, because Islam means peace. I've been to Zaman Hospital. I've been to the hospital in Turkey. Actually, is to dialogue with non-Catholics. I am Reverend Father Professor Cornelius Omonokhua. Presently, I am the Director of Mission and Dialogue, and I'm also a consultant in the Vatican for the Commission for Religious Relations with Muslims. The assignment actually is to dialogue with non-Catholics under the platform of Ecumenism, and people of other religions like the Muslims, Buddhists, Hindus, etc. Well, it was about 5 years ago when Kapuroglu was the president of Ufuk Dialogue Foundation. I was invited to the workshop they had in Trascom Hilton that attracted people from all over the world. And I was the one who gave the keynote address on behalf of the Christian Association of Nigeria. After that episode, we decided that there is need for us to have a bilateral relationship with the Ufuk Dialogue Foundation. I introduced that to the Bishops' Conference, Catholic Bishops' Conference of Nigeria. And they now said they would need a letter from the foundation if really they want to have dialogue with us. And secondly, they want to know the relationship that Ufuk Dialogue Foundation have with the existing Muslims in Nigeria. So that letter was done, and the bishops approved. So since then, we have been working together. And twice I've been to Turkey. The first impression I got about this movement is reading through the books of Fethullah Gulen. I've read a lot of those books, and I have two books here I brought. One is Dialogue in Contexts, the Nigeria Experience. I made reference a lot to Fethullah Gulen. So my impression is that Fethullah Gulen is a man of peace, and my being to Turkey, seeing the foundation, the works, the pretty press, like I contribute to Fountain Magazine. I have some articles in Fountain Magazine. I've been to the Zaman newspaper. I've been to the hospital in Turkey. I have visited the Hagia Sophia, for example, the Blue Mosque, so many places in Turkey. I've been to Ephesus, and I have been to, other places like the old Smyrna in the Bible, which is today is Hizmet. So my impression actually is that if every Muslim will really follow the way of the Hizmet movement, there will be peace in the world. First, education. If every human being in the world is educated, there will be no crisis. I've read the Quran from the beginning to the end. I've read the Hadith. I've read the Sunnah. I've been working with Muslims for 24 years. And I come to realize that why there is religious crisis is because a lot of people read the Quran out of context. But Gülen, initially, in Islam, people think that you cannot study Islam contextually and adapt it to the present situation. But with Gülen's philosophy, you come to realize that with Islam, you can actually transform the world and make the world a peaceful heaven, because Islam means peace. Take, for example, if you look at the way, let me call it manifesto of Islam, the Al-Fatiha. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, alhamdulillah, Rabbini alamin. Maliki yawmidi iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina sirata mustaqim. Sirata ladzina an'amta alaihim ghayril maghdubi alaihim waladhdallin. Amen. In the first place, you should be able to know intellectually through education that God is the creator, He has a purpose for you, and you have a destiny, like in every administration, where you have vision, mission, specific objective. So the most important aspect of Gülen is his love for education. And that is why in Nigeria here, I have visited the primary, the secondary, and the university. In fact, I am even thinking that I should have a professorial chair in Nigeria, Turkish Nile University, so that I can tell the whole world that I'm a member of this movement. We have pillars of Islam. I don't want to go into the 5 pillars of Islam, but I want to pick one aspect of the generosity, love, that the Gülen movement want to share love. Every year, you call people to the Noah's Ark. You will give opportunity for poor people to come and share food with the Noah's Pudding. You organize it here in Nigeria. Islam promotes almsgiving. You pray, and you are not praying fanatically. One of the things that impressed me most in Turkey is that you pray in your language, even though Arabic is the language of Islam, but you believe that you can be a true Muslim without being an Arab. And secondly, the Gülen movement promotes peace. They promote peace. If not that the Gülen movement promotes peace, now the tension between Gülen and the Turkish government would have led to real violence and battle. But Gülen is out there in America, quiet, he's not using gun, he's not using dynamite. If Fethullah Gülen could put in place all this foundation, he could have able to use his money to buy ammunition for the foundation to fight, but he has not done that. He's using intellectual weapon to be able to persuade and convince the world that they are true Muslim lovers of peace, inshallah. First and foremost, I want to take it from the point of view of love of one's country, nationality. Like you could sponsor people to Turkey free. You buy air ticket for them. You give them accommodation. You give them free food. It means you want people to know how Turkey look like. And this is why I think the Turkish government should be grateful to this movement. Because many foundations, one thing that defines them is patriotism. Bringing people to their home, making the world to know who we are. For example, projecting your identity. And your identity have shown this kind of patriotic outlook. And I think that some other foundations too, the social movement, taking freedom, cry for freedom, social justice, and many other things. I think the Hizmet movement is a kind of trying to bring in the Renaissance that the scientists brought into Europe in the 16th century. Because my first encounter with this movement has to do with dialogue. You know, we have forms of dialogue. We have dialogue of life. We have dialogue of religious experience. We have dialogue of social engagement. We have dialogue of theological exchange. Now, I want to talk about dialogue of life. You come to visit me, I come to visit you. I was sitting down there just now. The first thing they said, let's give you Turkish tea. You know, dialogue of life is what you do every day. So you see that there is a way the people in the movement will relate. I give you another example. Last week, Ekan, I hope I'm calling the name well, took me to the hospital. I was not sick. He said, Father, come and have a general checkup in our hospital. I went around and did everything. For me, that is dialogue of life. Tell me, so if something happened tomorrow, will I be able to speak evil about him? So if you, in dialogue of life, you make friends ahead of time so that when there is conflict, there is space for reconciliation. I visited the primary school. I visited the secondary. I visited the university. My first impression is that the lecturers, the teachers, are not all Muslims. You have teachers who are Christians. You don't discriminate. And I'm surprised that in the Nigeria Turkish University, Islam is not the core value that they are promoting. Rather, they want to promote life. Because it's when you have life that you can talk about religion. And it is a good man, a good woman who can be a good religious person. So these schools are human-oriented to make the world a better place. If you look at the way the charity organization or the platform of charity of Hizmet is going, some people can be very suspicious. They want to find out, why are they doing all this? Is it that they want to Islamize us gradually without us knowing it? You know, it's like what they call kind of bringing a golden horse as a gift, but there are weapons inside. That suspicion has been there. A lot of people have really raised some questions. But the truth is that from my own experience, I think that what is going on is actually to promote human relations. I have been in a conference when this topic was discussed, even in the Vatican. But the general opinion is that if what they are doing has an ulterior motive, by now we should have been able to know. But as far as I am concerned, I am thinking that this movement is, consistent. And that is why they are able to survive. You know, there was a time we were reading on the internet that the Turkish government is going to close down all the charity organizations. In fact, there was a caption on the net that these people, they shouldn't be trusted, even from your own government. But you have been able to prove that, look, you are not miscreant, you are not mischievous, and that you are doing what perhaps God asked you to do.
My overall opinion is that the Hizmet movement has just been a tremendous force for good and for influencing the spiritual and material well-being and educational well-being of just hundreds of thousands of people all over the world.
I think every country needs a Gülen. Every country needs someone who says, we need to talk with other groups. We need to find connections.